Approaches to coordination. Interdepartmental cooperation and coordination are imperative for the success of any organization. Coordination is easy if the degree of differentiation among different departments is less. Successful companies involve effective machine mechanism and procedures to strike a balance between the requisite degree of differentiation and requisite degree of interdependence among departments function. James D. Thompson classified internal independence of work unit or function into three types: pooled indirect interdependence, sequential or one way interdependence, and reciprocal two way interdependence. Pooled indirect interdependence is a situation where the activities of different departments or different departments or division are not directly dependent on each other. The advertising department is essentially independent from shipping and receiving departments, yet they are interdependent in the sense that each is part of same enterprise. Failure of either could threaten the entire company and thus other departments. Each departments make a discrete contribution to the organization and is in turn supported by it. The degree of coordination required here is minimum. In case where the output from one department become the other input for the other, sequential one way interdependence exists. This type of interdependence occurs in process industries. The example shown in panel B of figure B of the brewery. Here, greater degree of coordination is required, a sequence in which the process occurs. Reciprocal two-way interdependence. It occurs when output from one becomes input for the others and vice versa. Such two-way interdependence occurs between maintenance and operations unit. Here, close coordination is needed because problems in either will be quickly felt by the others. James Thompson lists three main categories of interdependence mechanism to achieve coordination. A is integration through standardization. This involves establishing rules or procedures that channel the action of each job holding a department into a direction consistent with the action of others. B. Plans and schedules can be established to integrate the action of separate units. In integration through planning is somewhat more flexible than standardization in that the plans can be modified quickly. C. Integration can be occurred through mutual adjustment. This involves transmission of information directly between people and mutual adjustment of their action in the light of that information. The traditional bureaucratic approach, which is common to most of our organizations, relies heavily on coordination through standardization and planning. Three mechanisms are available for the purpose. Firstly, an elaborate system of rules and procedures is worked out to deal with recurrent problems. Secondly, non routine problems are handled by referring up to the hierarchy, where matters of policy and procedure requires some deliberation. Committee meetings are held. These committee meetings are scheduled at regular intervals in stable condition. It also held at short notice if the need arises. The advantage of bureaucratic system is that it operates smoothly and effectively in normal and predictable condition, but it is inadequate to meet the requirements of an organization in an ever-changing turbulent environment. Often managers complain if we had to go through the formal channel, we would never be able to get things done on time. This could well be an exaggeration. Clear, carefully structured bureaucratic system of formal coordination minimize the dependence on informal system. There is need for a balance rather than excessive reliance on formal or the informal system. John Child lists the various forms of coordination through lateral relationships as below in order to increasing sophistication, difficulty in design and overhead costs. Usually management adopt the more sophisticated mechanism as addition to rather than simply substitutes for those mentioned higher up at the list. A. Bring about direct contact between managers or employees who share a problem. B. If departments are required to have a substantial amount of contact, one or more of their staffs will have special responsibility to realize with their counterparts in the other departments. C. In case of special situation or problems where several departments need to conflict until the matter is resolved, temporary task force would be set up to deal with it with members from those departments. D. If such interdepartmental problems require permanently constituted task forces or committees provide the coordination. E. If lateral relationships become a problem, a coordinating department such as the sold discussed above may be created to perform the task of coordinating. F. Another method of coordination is through creation of product manager in multi-product organization with overall responsibility to coordinate operation required to market, develop, procedure and service a product. G. A most elaborate method is to establish a matrix organization. Here, an attempt is made to combine integration of personnel within functionally specialized departments with their integration around a common contribution to product. When at AL discuss three principal modes of coordination. First is impersonal mode, that is coordination through setting programs and procedures. Next is personal mode, that is coordination through feedback. And the next is group mode, that is committee, task force, meeting, etc. The choice of the modes is dependent upon condition of certainty, problems and interdependent and size of work units. In terms of number employed, as certainty increases, group mode becomes appropriate since coordination requires discussion at lateral level in a hierarchy. As interdependence increases, there is greater needs of personal and group modes as the organization grows large and complex, the structure need to be more formal with greater stress on impersonal mode. Whether Whatever be the approach, wherever the organization choose to vest a manager in a coordination role, it should ensure that he is given proper authority. Only then can the exercise influence meaningfully over departmental heads. There should be clarity about the role, responsibility, authority, and accountability. The coordinators should be non controversial and acceptable to the departments or groups they are called upon to coordinate. Coordinators should have the resources and staff for effective interfunctional coordination and integration of department with different goals and criteria of performance. There is need for a climate of openness and trust. The interpersonal relationship among employees and the careful cultivation of even of open confrontation for resolving conflict through a process of mutual adjustment then aggregation before interfunctional conflict reaches a point where it affects organizational performance. Organizations should initiate such organization development program as would promote teamwork and cooperation. The people in the organization need to realize that united we stand, divided we fall. This can occur not so much by zealously cultivating narrow loyalties to one's function and specialization, but the developing superordinate goals for the entire organization.